My cousin weaponized her miscarriage to sabotage my motherhood. Then her husband tried to fight me. They say grief changes people. But what no one tells you is that sometimes grief doesn't just change them, it sharpens them. It twists them into something unrecognizable, something capable of hurting others in the name of their own pain. That's what happened to my cousin Lauren Madison. And the person she hurt the most was me. Lauren and I grew up like sisters. Her mom and Elaine lived 2 blocks down from us in Seattle, and we practically lived at each other's houses. Sleepovers, matching Halloween costumes, every single childhood birthday party. We were joined at the hip until college sent us in different directions, but we stayed close. When Lauren got married to Chase, I was her maid of honor. When I got pregnant last year, she crocheted me a baby blanket before I even announced the gender. She always said, our kids are going to grow up together, just like we did. And for a while, it really seemed like that was going to happen. Then she lost the baby, 7 months along. Complications. I won't go into the medical specifics, but it was horrifying. She was hospitalized for nearly a week. Chase didn't leave her side. I dropped off groceries and notes, but I didn't visit. I wanted to respect their space. She didn't respond to any texts for over a month. I understood. Or at least, I tried to. Before we go further, don't forget to like this story, hit subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss what happens next. By that time, I was 8 months pregnant myself. The timing was awful, and I hated that I couldn't be there for her the way I would have if our circumstances had been reversed. I felt guilty just existing. Then she sent a single text, glad you're okay. Hope the baby's doing well. I'm still figuring out how to breathe. That line hit me like a punch to the stomach. I cried for hours after reading it. When I gave birth to Lena, I almost didn't tell Lauren. It felt wrong, like bringing up sunshine in the middle of someone else's storm. But she found out anyway. My mom posted a photo online before I could even blink. And then, Lauren texted me again. Congratulations. Let me know when I can meet her. I was stunned, but relieved. Maybe this was her way of healing. We planned a small get-together at my house, just her, Chase, and my husband Daniel and I. Nothing big. Just a low-key brunch, meet the baby kind of day. I didn't know then that it was going to be the beginning of the end. From the moment she walked in the door, I could feel the tension. She smiled, but her eyes didn't. She brought a gift, but it was a plain white onesie, no note, no ribbon, still in the plastic. She said she's beautiful, but wouldn't hold her. I'm just getting over a cold, she said, waving her hand like it was nothing. Don't want to risk it. I believed her. Daniel did too. But the next day, I found out through Maya, Lauren's younger sister, that she'd been perfectly healthy. She just said she wasn't ready, Maya told me. Honestly, she might never be. I tried to be understanding. Every interaction was me walking on eggshells, not mentioning Lena too much, not posting pictures online, not texting updates unless Lauren asked first, which she never did. I kept hoping time would help her soften, that maybe Lena and Lauren could still have a bond. But instead, she started pulling away. First it was little things, canceling plans last minute, not responding to birthday invites. Then came the passive-aggressive comments. At a family dinner in February, someone asked me how Lena was sleeping and I said, better than I expected. Lauren chimed in, without looking up from her plate. Must be nice. Silence. No one said anything. Not even me. I swallowed it. Then, 2 weeks ago, Lauren texted me out of nowhere. I want to try again. Can I come see her? I said yes, of course. I figured she was in a better place now. She came over with Chase. She brought toys. She held Lena for the first time. She even cried a little. I thought I couldn't do this, she said. But she's beautiful. It felt like a turning point. Until I noticed the way she looked at me when Daniel came home from work and kissed Lena's forehead. There was something in her eyes, not jealousy exactly. Resentment. Like I had something she believed was supposed to be hers. Later that night, she texted me again. She's perfect. It makes me feel so much worse. I told her she didn't have to pretend around me, that I loved her, that it was okay to have conflicting feelings. She didn't answer. The next day, she deleted me off Instagram, then Facebook, then Venmo. That's when I knew. Something had changed. I talked to Maya. I asked if she'd seen anything off. She hesitated, then said, you should probably keep an eye on her. She's been saying some weird stuff, like how she doesn't trust you, that you only had a baby to rub it in. Stuff that doesn't make sense. I was stunned, but I barely said anything. I said, I've been so careful. I know, Maya said. That's why it's so scary. She's convinced herself you're trying to hurt her. What would you do if someone you loved, someone who used to feel like family, started to look at you like the villain in their story? Would you try harder to help them? Or would you start locking your doors? It's no longer about what Lauren says behind my back. It's what she does in my home when I let her back in. And she crosses a line no grieving person ever should. It's about to get much darker. It started with the lullaby. One night, about a week after Lauren had visited Lena for the first time, I was putting her to sleep when I heard it. A soft, slow lullaby playing from the baby monitor. Only, I wasn't singing, and neither was Daniel. I froze at the nursery door. Lena was fast asleep, but the sound was coming from the Bluetooth speaker we occasionally use to play white noise. I checked my phone. Nothing was playing. Then I realized it wasn't connected to me. I turned off the speaker. The lullaby stopped. It was eerie, but I brushed it off. Maybe Daniel had said something earlier. Maybe Alexa glitched. I didn't bring it up. Not yet. 2 days later, Lauren texted me again. Hey, any chance I could come watch Lena for a bit this weekend? Just for an hour or two. I hesitated. My instinct screamed no. But I silenced it. Because this was Lauren. She'd lost everything. And she was trying, right? I told her yes, with the condition that Daniel or I would be home the whole time. She showed up with snacks, toys, and a slightly forced smile. For the first 20 minutes, things were fine. She held Lena on the couch and hummed softly while I folded laundry nearby. Then I noticed something strange. She wasn't just holding her, she was rocking her, whispering, "My sweet girl, Mama's here." I stopped folding. Lauren. She didn't hear me, or pretended not to. I walked over. She kissed the top of Lena's head. "Sure, baby. It's okay. Mommy's got you." I took a step closer. "Lauren." She blinked. Looked up at me like she'd just woken from a dream. "What? You called yourself Mommy." She laughed nervously. "Did I? Oh, I didn't even realize. Just slipped out." She stood, gently handing Lena back to me. "Sorry. That was weird. I guess I just got lost in the moment." I didn't say anything, but my stomach was in knots. That night, I told Daniel. She called herself Mommy. He sat up in bed. "Wait, seriously?" "Dead serious." She didn't even flinch until I said something. He rubbed his face. "Okay. I was trying not to overreact before, but this is getting weird." I nodded. "I know." We agreed not to let her be alone with Lena again. The next week, Lauren sent a box to our house. Inside were baby clothes. Dozens of them. All brand new. All unworn. All tagged with, "To my future daughter." There was a card. It read, "If I can't use these now, maybe someone else should." There was no smiley face. No warmth. Just that single line. Daniel threw the card out before I could even finish reading it. "She's slipping," he said. And fast. Then came the video call. It was around 9 p.m. I was giving Lena a bottle in the nursery when Lauren FaceTimed me. I answered, thinking maybe she wanted to apologize for the box. She didn't. Instead, her face filled the screen, pale, tear-streaked, eyes glassy. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "For what?" "For all of it. For not being stronger. For being jealous. For hating you." I blinked. "Lauren, I never wanted. I used to imagine it was me," she interrupted. "That Lena was mine. That Chase and I were holding her at home, and everything was how it was supposed to be." My mouth went dry. "Lauren, that's not healthy. You know that, right?" "I know," she whispered. "That's why I'm trying. But it hurts. Every second. And sometimes I want to take her and just drive away. Just to see how it feels." I sat there, frozen. She smiled, almost gently. "Don't worry. I'd bring her back." The next morning, I installed a Ring camera. And I called Maya. I told her everything. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Okay, it's time I tell you something." She told me that Lauren had never accepted the loss. Not really. That she still had the nursery fully set up. That she still referred to herself as a mother in the present tense. That she even carried a doll, a realistic one, sometimes when she thought no one would see. "She doesn't see herself clearly anymore," Maya said. "She's not just grieving. She's living in another reality." I thanked her and cried as soon as we hung up, because it meant I was no longer dealing with just jealousy or resentment. I was dealing with delusion. I stopped responding to Lauren's texts after that. I blocked her number a week later, after she sent me a message at 3 a.m. that said she called for me in my dream. I think she knows I'm her real mom. That was the last straw. I told Maya. I told my mom. I told everyone I could trust. We created a full plan in case she tried anything. But part of me still clung to the hope that this would end quietly. That she'd get help. That the girl I grew up with would come back. But she didn't. Not yet. Let me ask you something. What do you do when love turns to obsession? When grief becomes a weapon? Soon I find out. She's been watching us. Listening. And what we see on the Ring camera. Changes everything. You're not going to believe what she does next. The message came at 2:13 a.m. Not a text. Not a call. A motion alert from our Ring camera. At first, I thought it was a raccoon. Maybe a neighbor walking by. We live in a quiet suburb outside Seattle, and things like this aren't unusual. But when I opened the app and tapped on the notification, my heart stopped. There she was, Lauren, standing at the edge of our front steps, in the dark, in her pajamas, just standing, not ringing the bell, not knocking, just staring at the front door. For over 2 minutes, I woke Daniel up. He sat bolt upright, rubbed his eyes, and watched the footage twice. She was just watching, he said slowly, like she was deciding whether to come in. She doesn't even flinch, like she's done this before. I looked at the timestamp again, 2:13 a.m., and I remembered something. The text from 2 weeks ago. She called for me in my dream. That was also at 2 a.m. I closed the app and put my phone down. I'm calling the police. We filed a report. There wasn't much they could do. She hadn't trespassed, hadn't made a direct threat. But they noted it, told us to keep saving footage. Said if it happened again, they could issue a formal warning. We didn't tell anyone else yet. Not Maya. Not my parents. We just started locking everything. Every door. Every window. Every night. Daniel ordered 2 more cameras the next morning. And then came the voicemail. From Chase. He sounded exhausted. Hey, it's Chase. I don't know how to say this, but I think Lauren's been spending time near your house when I'm not home. I found maps. She's pinned your address. She's got notes. Photos of your yard. I nearly dropped the phone. She says she's just observing, processing, but I don't think she knows where the line is anymore. He paused. She's not well, Emily. I don't know what to do. That same afternoon, I finally called Maya. I told her everything. The Ring footage. The notes. The visits. The dream texts. There was silence. Then Maya whispered, she's been lying to you. What do you mean? She told me she held your baby every week, that you let her babysit alone, that Lena recognizes her voice. I felt sick. She told our mom you offered her custody if something ever happened to you. I covered my mouth. She thinks she's supposed to raise her. We made the decision that night. No more contact. Not through Maya. Not through Chase. Not through anyone. If Lauren wanted to see Lena again, it would be through court-mandated channels. We emailed a cease and desist letter, legally informal, but enough to make the point. We contacted our lawyer, and we saved everything. Screenshots. Ring footage. Every single message. We were done playing nice. But Lauren wasn't. The next morning, she sent Daniel a message. Not me. Daniel, I know you're scared. I get it. But I think you know what's right. She's mine. She's always felt like mine. He blocked her immediately. That evening, we had dinner in silence. Lena babbled in her high chair, smearing avocado on her tray. But Daniel and I barely touched our food. I don't think she's going to stop, I said finally. She won't, he said. Not until something makes her. 2 days later, Chase called again. She's gone. I blinked. What? She left a note. Said she was taking time. No contact info. Took her car, some clothes, and that doll. I shivered. She'll be back, I said. I know. Then he added, I'm done protecting her. That night, Maya sent me something. A photo of a journal Lauren had left behind. In it, she'd written pages and pages about Lena, calling her my girl, writing out imaginary conversations, referring to Daniel as our husband. Me? Just the barrier. There was a line that stuck out most. If I can't raise her, I'll make sure no one else really can. I couldn't sleep after that. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering what she meant, what that might look like, what someone in that mental state might actually try. And that's when I knew this wasn't just obsession. It was delusion, and I was out of time. So let me ask you, at what point does sympathy turn to self-defense? When someone is grieving, we forgive a lot. We let them act out. We give them space. But how much space is too much? Would you wait for the next knock? Or start preparing for the worst? It was the day of the storm, not metaphorically, I mean a real one. Sheets of rain battering the windows, wind howling through the trees, the kind of Seattle weather that makes you want to wrap yourself in a blanket and wait it out. Daniel was working late. Lena was fighting her nap. I was curled up on the couch, baby monitor on the coffee table, trying to stay calm. And then, the doorbell rang. I froze. No one uses our front door unannounced anymore. Everyone texts. Everyone knows the drill. I peeked through the peephole, and my stomach dropped. Lauren, soaked to the bone, holding something. A bag? A doll? I didn't open the door. I cracked the window near the kitchen and called out. Lauren, What are you doing here? She looked up, smiled. Not the I'm okay now kind of smile. The I don't care what you think anymore kind. You weren't answering, she called. So I came. I told you not to come here. I just want to talk. I swallowed hard. Lauren, you need to leave. Right now. I will, she said sweetly. After I see her. I closed the window, ran to my phone, called 911. Then I went upstairs to get Lena. Locked the nursery door behind us. I held her, pacing the room, listening to the wind and rain and the pounding of my heart. And then I heard it. The back gate. Creaking open. I grabbed the monitor, opened the Ring app. She was in the backyard, trying the patio door. Calm. Focused. Like she belonged here. Like this was just part of the plan. I stayed upstairs, whispering to Lena, trying to keep her calm as she started to fuss. 5 minutes. 10. Then red and blue lights lit up the street. The officers were calm, professional, firm. Lauren didn't resist. She just looked at them, then at my house, and said, she called for me. They took her to Cascade Behavioral Health for evaluation. Maya met them there. Chase too. Later, Maya told me Lauren had been spiraling for weeks. She'd stopped seeing her therapist, stopped eating properly, started writing letters, dozens, addressed to Lena. She lost touch with the timeline, Maya said. She couldn't tell what was real and what she'd imagined. And then Maya told me something else. Lauren had never been pregnant in the 3rd trimester. She'd miscarried at 4 months. Everything else, the baby clothes, the name, the crib she said she had to dismantle, had been created, expanded in her mind, because grief had twisted into a delusion she never confronted. That night, I stood in Lena's nursery long after she fell asleep, looking at the camera, the soft night light glowing, the mobile spinning slowly above her, and I felt something I hadn't in weeks. Relief. Not just because Lauren was gone, but because the spell had finally broken. The fantasy, the haunting idea that she might somehow deserve my daughter, it had finally shattered. The next morning, Chase called. She's being held for a 72-hour evaluation. They're recommending long-term treatment. Will she go? She doesn't really have a choice anymore. I exhaled, then asked, how are you? He laughed dryly. Exhausted, but ready to stop pretending. There was a pause. She told me she felt like I never grieved with her, that I moved on too fast. And did you? I think I tried to fake strength. And she tried to live in pain. Both of us were wrong. A week later, Maya stopped by with a box. This was under her bed, she said quietly. Inside were photos of Lena, screenshots from my Instagram, printed copies of texts, a drawing, childish and messy, of a woman holding a baby, labeled me and her. And at the bottom, a printed certificate. A fake birth certificate with Lauren's name listed as the mother. I sat down slowly. She was going to try something, I whispered. Maya nodded. I know. Let me ask you this. What happens when love mutates into obsession? When someone refuses to accept that their pain does not give them permission to rewrite other people's lives? Would you still call it grief? Or something darker? Because the fallout spreads beyond Lauren. My family starts turning on me. They say I was too harsh. That Lauren was just lost. And when I learn what they've been hiding from me all along, let's just say, trust gets redefined. You'd think after a woman shows up in your backyard during a thunderstorm to try and take your infant daughter, the people closest to you would rally behind you. You'd think they'd say, you did the right thing. Thank God you acted fast. We're proud of you for protecting your child. But that's not how this went. Not with my family. Not with Aunt Elaine. Not with a few cousins. Not with the people who still worship the version of Lauren that existed before the loss, before the unraveling. It started the next day. I was in the kitchen with Daniel and Lena, finally beginning to feel safe again, when my mom called. She didn't even say hi. She said, did you really have to involve the police? I blinked. What? Elaine just called me crying. Said Lauren is being treated like a criminal. That she didn't mean to scare you. I could feel my pulse start to rise. Mom. She came to our house. In the middle of the night. She tried the back door. While I was home alone with a baby. I know, honey, she said, but she's not well. You know that. Don't you think calling the cops made it worse? I stared at the phone like it had betrayed me. Then I said, slowly, do you think I had a choice? Silence. Then, I just think there might have been a gentler way. That was the first time I hung up on my mom. 3 hours later, I got a call from Aunt Elaine. I let it go to voicemail. She left a 90-second monologue that started off semi-composed and spiraled into a furious rant. You always envied Lauren. You couldn't let her have anything without making it about you. Now that she's gone through something you can't even begin to understand, you paint her as some kind of stalker. I saw the report, Emily. The cops said she didn't hurt anyone. She just wanted to see the baby. Her family. Her family. Those two words dug into me like a splinter. I told Daniel, I think she genuinely believes Lauren has some kind of claim over Lena. He nodded, jaw tight. Then we make it legal. Full restraining order. Civil protections. Guardianship paperwork if we have to. I wanted to say no, that it wouldn't come to that. But I remembered the look on Lauren's face outside our house, that soft, blank smile, and I nodded. The next week was a blur of paperwork, appointments, and awkward silences. My mom apologized in a text. Sorry. I'm just trying to keep the peace. I didn't reply. Because what peace? Where was the peace when Lauren stood in my backyard soaked in rain? Where was the peace when I was locking doors like I was preparing for war? Then Maya called, and her voice was shaking. Emily, you need to know something. She told me she'd gone to visit Lauren at Cascade Behavioral, hoping to find some closure. But instead, she found evidence of something worse than we imagined. She had a journal in her bag, Maya whispered. It was full of timelines, schedules. She'd written out days where she planned to integrate herself into Lena's routine. I felt the room tilt around me. She was timing your feedings, Maya continued, estimating nap cycles. She even listed pickup locations in case she ever had to remove Lena discreetly. Pickup. Discreetly. I sat down on the floor. And that's not even the worst part, Maya said. I confronted Mom, and she admitted she knew Lauren had fantasies, that she talked about Lena like she was hers. And Mom told her. She paused. Told her what? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She told Lauren that she understood, that maybe, in a different life, it could have been true. That was when the rage set in. Not fear. Not guilt. Rage. They weren't just enabling Lauren. They were validating her delusions. I called Aunt Elaine. She answered immediately, cheerful like nothing had happened. Emily, I've been meaning to call you. Don't. I cut in. Don't act like we're okay. She went quiet. I know what you told Lauren, I said. I know you encouraged her. That you never told her to back off. That you gave her permission to spiral further. I did not, she said defensively. I just listened. She was grieving. You told her she could have been Lena's mother. She could have. If the timing had been different. You both got pregnant, Emily. She just didn't get to finish. I felt my jaw clench so hard I thought my teeth might crack. She didn't not finish, Elaine. She lost a baby. That's tragic. But that doesn't give her the right to claim mine. You've always been so territorial, she hissed. So controlling. I hung up. Daniel found me an hour later sitting on the floor in Lena's nursery, shaking. She doesn't think she's wrong, I whispered. None of them do. He knelt beside me. Then we cut them off. All of them. He didn't hesitate. All of them. We sent out a single group message. We love this family. But until people acknowledge that what Lauren did was dangerous and stop justifying it, we won't be attending any family events or engaging in contact. We are protecting our daughter. We hope someday you'll understand. Only 3 people responded. Maya, my uncle on my dad's side, and my cousin Lily, who simply wrote, You're not crazy. You're brave. The official notice came in a bland envelope from Cascade Behavioral Health. Lauren Madison has been released into outpatient treatment. No warning call. No therapist check-in. Just a clinical letter, like it was notifying me of a dentist appointment. Daniel opened it before I did. He looked at me for a long moment and said, She's out. I didn't respond. Because I didn't know how. It had been 4 weeks since the night she tried to come into our home. For weeks since the police walked her into that facility. For weeks since I had slept without checking the cameras twice, 3 times a night. We'd gotten used to the silence. Now it was being shattered again. I wanted to believe maybe she'd changed. That something inside her had cracked open and let the truth in. That maybe she'd walk away quietly, start a new chapter, stay far away from us. But that's not what happened. 2 days after the letter, my cousin Lily texted me a screenshot. Lauren had posted again. Not on Facebook. Not Instagram. A blog. Some WordPress site titled, Rebuilding from Ruins. It was full of poetic nonsense. Her healing journey. Her unfiltered truth. She never used our names, but the implication was clear. They called me a danger. Said I was delusional. But grief isn't always pretty. Sometimes it wears the mask of obsession. Sometimes it becomes a mirror no one wants to look into. I still dream of the life that should have been. Of the child who felt like mine. Maybe it was grief. Maybe it was love in the wrong body. I didn't even finish the entry. I closed the tab and turned off my phone. Daniel found me sitting on the porch. You read it? I nodded. She still thinks Lena belonged to her. He sat beside me. She's not better. Just rebranded. The next day, a letter arrived. Handwritten. No return address. But the handwriting was unmistakable. Lauren's. Daniel opened it first, silently, carefully, and scanned it. Then handed it to me. I read it once. Then again. Then I burned it. Because there are some words you don't keep. But I'll tell you what it said. In summary, I'm not asking for forgiveness. But I hope one day you'll see that I only wanted to love her. That I would have been good. That you were always too afraid to let anyone else in. You didn't lose anything. I did. You got to keep her. All I wanted was to be near. It ended with, I won't bother you again. Unless she asks for me. That last line stuck with me. Because it told me she still believed Lena might choose her one day. I called our lawyer the next morning. We updated the restraining order. We filed the blog as evidence of continued delusion. We added a clause that included all indirect contact, including online references. And for the first time, I felt like I was finally, fully drawing a line. 3 weeks passed. No letters. No posts. No surprise visits. Then one night, I got a call from Chase. I thought you should know, he said. She left town. Quietly. Said she's moving to a retreat in Montana. Some long-term holistic place. No internet. No phone. I exhaled. Do you believe her? I asked. I do, he said. She's tired. Not better, but tired. That was the last we heard of her. Months passed. Lena turned 1. We threw a quiet birthday party in our backyard. Just a few close friends, my parents, who had finally started to understand, painfully, what we'd gone through, and a lot of homemade cupcakes. Maya came. She brought a small necklace for Lena and a bigger apology for me. We hugged for a long time. I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner, she whispered. You did when it mattered, I told her. And I meant it. One night, as Daniel was reading Lena a story, she reached out and patted his face. Dada, she whispered. He froze, then looked up at me with tears in his eyes. We both knew, after all that chaos, this was the life we wanted to protect. Not just from Lauren, but from the people who made us question ourselves. From the guilt, the gaslighting, the idea that love alone makes someone a mother. It doesn't. Showing up does. And we had. So let me ask you, where do you draw the line between grief and entitlement? When someone is hurting, how far do we let them go before we say, enough? And more than that, what would you have done if someone you loved turned their pain into a weapon? Would you have forgiven them? Let them back in? Or done what we did? Draw the line in permanent ink? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you've ever had to choose peace over family, protection over guilt, tell us your story. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do for your child is say no.